Hi, this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast, where CEOs, COOs, and business owners share strategies for better success. This is 6 questions in 9 minutes because the best strategies are concise business advice. And so we're going to be very concise and get to our guest today. So, question number one, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Thanks, Keith. My name is John Haynes. I'm the owner of a company called Make Sales Happen. We are a business development consulting firm, and we specialize in custom solutions for clients who are looking to grow their market share and develop long-lasting, successful business strategies.
Great to have you on. Thank you for your time and for being here. We look forward to your insights.
Thank you.
So before we get into those though, question number two, what's the best thing about being a business leader?
Well, other than having to work for myself, I can be difficult at times. I just like the autonomy and the creativity and the freedom that running my own business has afforded me. I've been in this consulting stream for about 18, 19 years. I've been on my own for about 6 or 7, and they've been absolutely the best 6 or 7 years.
Well, and that's something that most entrepreneurs want. They want the freedom, they want the flexibility, they want those kind of things, but a lot of them don't find that when they start a business and become an entrepreneur. So that's a sign of a successful entrepreneur, that you can have all of those things that you want when you start a business as well.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So question number 3, I hear from other business leaders that a lot of times their people strategy can be more complicated, time consuming, if you will, than the actual business strategy in running their business. Your thoughts on that?
I would agree. I think that the biggest challenge that a lot of my clients face, the biggest challenge that I face, is finding like-minded individuals that can carry out the vision and the mission statement that has been created by the company that they're working for. Being able to communicate that effectively to them is sometimes a challenge that some other business leaders that I've worked with in the past have faced. But people are complicated individuals, and much more so than I think the actual business operation. So I would agree completely that the people strategies and the people issues are much more challenging than the actual business operations.
Well said. All right. So question number 4, what's a great strategy that you would like to share with other business leaders today?
Well, it's a concept, it's a metaphor. I call it ladder building, but in the companies that I generally support are affected positively and negatively by market conditions, whether it's, I work in the real estate realm, so the economy, politics, today being a perfect example of that, there's business to be had that I refer to as being market driven. So if you're a company and you have 10% of the market captured and the market is this big, when refinances or a real estate boom occurs, or there's money out there, the economy is healthy and people are spending money on what you provide to them, the pie can grow to this size and your 10% all of a sudden is much bigger. And there's nothing wrong with that. You need to go around and scoop up all that business. But at the same time, you need to prepare for the inevitable shrinking of that pie back to normal times, or even smaller if times get tough. And when times get tough, all the low-hanging fruit is gone. The only thing that's going to be left for you is the stuff that's way up high. And the only way I know that you can get that stuff way up high is with a ladder. And so the metaphor of ladder building is, what are you doing from a sales, marketing, business development strategy, if you will, to be of service, value, have something that make people want to visit with you and buy from you in good times and bad. So the training that you give your salespeople, the products that you deliver, the service that you deliver after the sale, all of the follow-up that you do, you know, in between purchases. Like I said, I'm in the real estate industry mostly. So an agent may bring in a deal today and they may not bring in another deal for 2 or 3 months. What are you doing in that downtime to stay in touch with that agent so that when they do have another deal, they're thinking of you and not somebody else? So those are sort of the rungs of the ladder. And if you're working on that, when the market shrinks up and the only thing that's available is the fruit up high, you've got something to reach it.
I love the analogy of the ladder. It also, you know, it rings so true to so many businesses that I work with, where I see kind of a roller coaster effect where, you know, there's times that they just get out there and they really market and they're trying to follow the system and they're trying to do things. And then, you know, they start getting busy or whatever, and they stop marketing altogether. They stop doing all of those things that made them successful. And then they start up again. And there's this constant roller coaster of stopping and starting rather than, like you said, building the rungs and having those systems in place consistently.
Right.
On them.
That's part of the previous question about people strategies.
Right.
You know, being able to train your people to not only take care of the business at hand, but also to be forward thinking enough that they are monitoring conditions and staying in touch with the people that are going to provide them with business in the future, and continually feeding that pipeline so that you're never all of a sudden wake up one morning and look down there and the pipeline's empty and you have to start all over from scratch.
That's a great strategy. Thank you so much. So question number 5, what are some other, or, you know, who are some other successful business leaders, CEOs like yourself that maybe you want to shout out to, or that you think would be good on the podcast?
Well, like I said, my niche, if you will, is the real estate industry, title, lending. So the leaders that I like to think that anybody who is wise enough to work with me is an outstanding leader just by themselves. And for the most part, that's probably true. Some of the people, successful people, and I measure success just on growth and profitability and all those things. I think the first person that I would reach out to or want to acknowledge is a guy by the name of Bill Witt, who's here in Phoenix, Arizona, runs a company called Empire West Title, but he has turned that company into just an absolute powerhouse. He is really good with people. He's really good at seeing the big picture, but also having the empathy to deal with the nuts and bolts that need to be handled on occasion. I also have a lot of regard for a husband and wife team in Michigan, Tom and Michelle Richardson. They run a large title company in Michigan called Liberty Title, but they have grown from what you would almost call a mom and pop store to the biggest title company in Southeast Michigan. So just off the top of my head, those are a couple of people that I would like to acknowledge, and I think that they would be really good guests for you in the future if you reached out to them.
That sounds great. Well, we'll definitely try to reach out to them. So we're almost out of time, but kind of a final fun question. Tell me about your favorite past boss.
Well, you know, when I first heard this question, I'm going, okay, I'm gonna qualify this by saying that this person was my favorite boss because they taught me the most. I wouldn't say that I necessarily liked him at the time, but I have come to appreciate a lot of the lessons that he taught me. And one of the reasons that he is still my favorite boss, even though he is no longer here, is that he just had a really good way of taking somebody who was young and inexperienced, but willing to learn, and imparting in a very understandable way the skills necessary to succeed in business. And I think that, again, we go back to the people strategies. If you're an executive or if you're running a company and you have either in it yourself or you have senior managers who they have the gift, if you will, of being able to develop young talent and keep them in the company and keep them motivated and keep them energized, you will have, in my opinion and in my experience, you will have nothing but success. It's along with ladder building, probably the biggest key to success is the developing of new / young talent, because none of us live forever, right, Keith?
That's right. Well said. Well, we are out of time, but before we go, can you tell people how they can connect with you or reach out to you?
Sure. The easiest way is by phone. It's John Haynes, Make Sales Happen. My phone number is 303. Don't be confused by the Denver number in Arizona, but it's 303-319-9965. Or you can email me at john@makesales.happen.com.
Great. Well, again, thank you so much for your time and being on and for your insights. And this is Keith Weaver with the Top Executive Strategy Podcast. And for more insights, you can follow us at Weaver Business Coaching on LinkedIn or listen to us on your favorite podcast platform. And we wish you the best success.
Thanks, Keith. Appreciate it.